Ladies and gentlemen, all you need is one person in your life, one person who believes in you, one person who sees something in you that maybe you don't see in yourself. We often think that success is a solo journey, that it's about how hard we work, how much we push, how determined we are. And while all of that is important, it's never the full story. No one does anything of significance alone. Behind every great achievement, behind every moment of courage, behind every leap of faith, there was always someone. Think back to the moments that shaped you. Maybe it was a teacher who told you that you were capable of more than you believed. Maybe it was a friend who listened when you thought no one understood. Maybe it was a mentor who gave you a chance when no one else would. That one person might not have even realized the impact they had on you, but their belief planted a seed, one that grew into something greater. We live in a world that celebrates independence. We admire the self-made, the resilient, the ones who seem to conquer the impossible on their own. But the truth is, no one truly succeeds alone. Every great leader, every innovator, every person who has ever made a difference had someone who believed in them, someone who stood by them, someone who gave them the strength to keep going. But here's the thing. We don't always recognize that person when they show up. Sometimes they're the ones who challenge us, who push us outside our comfort zones. Sometimes they're the ones who tell us things we don't want to hear but need to hear. And sometimes they're simply the ones who stay, who show up again and again, reminding us that we're not alone. And maybe right now you feel like you don't have that person. Maybe you feel like you're standing at the edge of something big, but there's no one there to catch you if you fall. If that's the case, I want to tell you something important. You only need one. Not a crowd, not a whole community. Just one person who believes in you can make all the difference. And if you can't find that person right now, then maybe, just maybe, you can be that person for someone else. Because sometimes the best way to find what we need is to give it first. To be the encouragement that someone else is looking for. To see the potential in someone who doesn't see it in themselves. Think about the power of that. Think about how the course of someone's life can change because of a single act of belief, a single moment of support, a single person who refuses to let them give up. That's how movements begin. That's how leaders rise. That's how ordinary people do extraordinary things. So, if you have someone in your life who believes in you, hold on to them, lean on them, let them remind you of who you are and what you're capable of. And if you don't have that person yet, don't stop looking, because all it takes is one. And when you find them, or when you become them, everything changes. No one achieves greatness alone. Behind every success is at least one person who believed, supported, or guided them. Sometimes all it takes is one person seeing potential in you that you don't yet see in yourself to transform your future. The person who believes in you may challenge you, push you, or simply show up when you need them the most. If you can't find someone who believes in you, be that person for someone else. Encouraging others can create opportunities for both of you. You don't need a crowd. Just one person's belief can ignite the courage and confidence needed to keep going. We often hear stories of self-made success. We admire those who rise from nothing, who push through obstacles, who seem to conquer the impossible all on their own. But if we take a closer look, if we really listen to the stories behind the stories, we realize that success is never a solo journey. No one achieves anything great alone. There is always someone who believed, someone who encouraged, someone who showed up at just the right moment. Think about the people you admire most, the leaders, the innovators, the ones who changed the game in their industries or made a lasting impact in their communities. Behind their success, you will always find a mentor, a friend, a teacher, a family member, someone who played a pivotal role in shaping their path. It might have been a simple word of encouragement at a critical moment. It might have been an opportunity given when no one else was willing to take a chance on them. It might have been a tough conversation that pushed them to do better, to work harder, to become more than they believed they could be. The idea that we have to do everything on our own is one of the greatest myths of success. Society often glorifies independence, telling us that strength means never needing help, that resilience means pushing through without support. But the truth is, the greatest strength comes from the ability to lean on others when we need to. It comes from recognizing that asking for help isn't a weakness, it's a strategy for growth. Think about your own journey, the moments when you struggled, when you doubted yourself, when you thought about giving up. Now think about the people who showed up during those times. Maybe it was a parent who reminded you of your worth. Maybe it was a coach who saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself. Maybe it was a boss who challenged you in ways that were uncomfortable but ultimately helped you grow. These people, whether they realized it or not, played a role in shaping who you are today. And it's not just about professional success. Even in our personal lives, the people around us shape our confidence, our resilience, and our ability to overcome challenges. Relationships matter. The people we surround ourselves with either lift us up or pull us down. They either encourage us to push forward or make us question whether we're capable. And when we find even one person who truly believes in us, it has the power to change everything. There's a reason why mentorship programs, support groups, and strong communities exist. Human beings are wired for connection. We thrive when we feel supported. We grow when we have people who push us to become better versions of ourselves. Some of the most successful people in the world attribute their achievements not just to their own hard work, but to the people who stood beside them along the way. Yet, so many people struggle to ask for help. They convince themselves that they have to figure it all out alone, that admitting they need support is a sign of failure. But the reality is, the most successful people actively seek guidance. They surround themselves with others who challenge them, inspire them, and hold them accountable. They understand that success isn't about proving that you don't need anyone. It's about building relationships that help you go further than you ever could on your own. And sometimes the person who helps us the most isn't the one we expect. It could be a stranger who says the right thing at the right time. It could be a colleague who shares advice that shifts our entire perspective. It could be a competitor who forces us to step up and play at a higher level. The key is to stay open to the idea that help can come in many forms, and that no matter how strong, talented, or determined we are, we will always achieve more with the right people by our side. At some point in life, we all face moments of doubt. We wonder if we're good enough, smart enough, strong enough. In those moments, having even one person who believes in us can be the difference between giving up and pushing forward. That belief, that encouragement, that reminder that we are capable, those things matter more than we realize. And sometimes that one person sees something in us long before we see it in ourselves. But there's another side to this. Just as we need others to support us, we also have the power to be that person for someone else. Imagine what could happen if we all took a moment to invest in someone else's success, to believe in someone who's struggling, to offer encouragement when it's needed most. Because if success isn't a solo journey, then part of our responsibility is to make sure no one else has to walk their path alone. When we recognize that our achievements are built on the support, belief, and kindness of others, we stop taking those relationships for granted. We start valuing the people who show up for us, and we begin showing up for others in return. And when that happens, we create a cycle of success that reaches far beyond ourselves. Because success isn't just about how far we can go, it's about how many people we can bring with us along the way. Belief is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It has the ability to shape lives, transform futures, and push people to achieve things they never thought possible. And yet, belief is often something we don't realize the importance of until we experience it firsthand. When someone believes in us, when they see potential in us that we don't yet see in ourselves, it can change the entire trajectory of our lives. We've all had moments of doubt, moments where we questioned whether we were good enough, whether we had what it takes, whether we should even keep going. In those moments, it's easy to retreat, to convince ourselves that the challenge is too big or that failure is inevitable. But then sometimes, just at the right time, someone steps in. They remind us of what we're capable of. They see something in us that we've lost sight of. They believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves. And that belief alone gives us the strength to keep moving forward. Think about the most successful people in the world. Leaders, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs. Every single one of them has had at least one person who believed in them along the way. Someone who encouraged them, challenged them, and helped them see that they were capable of more than they realized. No one becomes great in isolation. It's the power of belief, both from within and from others, that fuels achievement. The reason belief is so powerful is that it changes the way we see ourselves. When someone believes in us, it plants a seed. It makes us think. If they see something in me, maybe it's there. And once that idea takes root, it grows. We start acting differently. We take chances we wouldn't have taken before. We push ourselves harder. We refuse to give up so easily. And before we know it, we've become the person someone else always knew we could be. This isn't just about achieving goals. It's about identity. People rise to the level of belief that others place in them. When we tell a child they are smart and capable, they start to see themselves that way. When a leader tells their team they have what it takes to succeed, The team starts working as if success is inevitable. And when someone looks us in the eye and says, "I believe in you," something shifts inside of us. We stop seeing obstacles as permanent. We stop viewing failure as proof that we're not good enough. We start understanding that setbacks are just part of the journey. But there's another side to this. Just as belief has the power to build someone up, doubt has the power to tear them down. When people tell us we're not good enough, that our dreams are too big, that we'll never make it, those words leave a mark. And if we hear them enough, we start believing them. That's why surrounding ourselves with the right people is so important. One person's belief in us can be the difference between success and failure, but one person's doubt, if we let it in, can hold us back for years. That's why mentors, friends, and leaders who truly believe in others are so valuable. They counteract the negativity that we often hear from the world. They remind us of what's possible. They see beyond our failures and setbacks. They look past our insecurities and weaknesses and instead focus on our strengths and potential. They push us when we want to give up. They remind us why we started in the first place. And sometimes that's all we need. And belief isn't just about words, it's about actions. True belief in someone means showing up for them, encouraging them, and holding them accountable to their potential. It means not letting them settle for less than they're capable of. It means pushing them to keep going even when things get hard. Because belief isn't passive, it's active. It requires commitment. Many of us can look back on our lives and pinpoint the exact moment when someone's belief changed everything for us. Maybe it was a teacher who saw talent we didn't know we had. Maybe it was a friend who encouraged us to take a risk that ended up shaping our future. Maybe it was a boss who gave us an opportunity when we didn't feel ready. These moments are often small, but their impact lasts forever. And what's even more powerful is that we all have the ability to do this for someone else. Just as someone's belief in us changed our lives, we have the opportunity to change someone else's. We can be the person who sees potential in someone who doesn't yet see it in themselves. We can be the one who encourages, who pushes, who reminds them of what they're capable of. And that might be the moment that changes everything for them. The reality is, most people don't need someone to give them all the answers. They don't need someone to hand them success. They just need someone to believe in them, to tell them they have what it takes, to remind them that they are capable of more than they think. And when they receive that belief, when they truly internalize it, they become unstoppable. This is why leadership, mentorship, and genuine encouragement matter so much. The greatest leaders aren't the ones who do everything themselves. They are the ones who inspire belief in others. They lift people up. They give people the confidence to step into their potential. They understand that success isn't just about personal achievement. It's about how many people they can empower along the way. Imagine how much potential is wasted in the world simply because people never had someone to believe in them. Imagine how many dreams have been abandoned, how many ideas have gone unexplored, how many lives have taken a different path simply because no one took the time to say, "You can do this." Now imagine the impact we could have if we chose to be that person for others, if we made the decision to invest in people, to lift them up, to believe in them when they needed it most. Because in the end, belief isn't just about seeing potential, it's about unlocking it. It's about showing someone a version of themselves that they haven't yet discovered. And when that happens, when someone realizes that they are more than they ever thought they could be, the possibilities are limitless. Support doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Sometimes it comes in the form of encouragement, words that lift us up when we're feeling discouraged. Other times it comes as a challenge, someone pushing us harder than we'd push ourselves, refusing to let us settle for less than we're capable of. And sometimes it's simply presence, someone showing up, standing by our side, and reminding us that we're not alone. Many people believe that support is just about kindness, about telling people what they want to hear, about making things easier. But real support isn't about comfort, it's about growth. The people who support us the most aren't always the ones who agree with everything we do. They're the ones who see our potential and refuse to let us waste it. They're the ones who tell us the truth even when it's hard to hear. They're the ones who push us past our limits, not because they don't care, but because they care too much to let us stay where we are. Think about the people in your life who have had the biggest impact on you. Chances are, some of them were not the ones who made things easy. They were the ones who held you accountable, who set high expectations, who saw something in you that you didn't yet see in yourself. Maybe it was a coach who pushed you harder than anyone else. Maybe it was a teacher who refused to accept anything less than your best. Maybe it was a boss who threw you into challenges you didn't feel ready for, only to prove to you that you were more capable than you thought. At the time, their support might not have felt like support. It might have felt like pressure, like discomfort, like frustration. But looking back, you realize they were shaping you, preparing you, helping you become the person you are today. Because real support isn't about making things easier, it's about making us stronger. And then there's the quiet support, the kind that isn't loud or demanding, but is just as powerful. Sometimes the greatest support we receive comes from the people who simply stand by us, the ones who listen when we need to talk, the ones who remind us of who we are when we forget, the ones who don't let us walk away from something we truly care about just because we're afraid. They may not always have the right words, but their presence alone gives us the strength to keep going. It's easy to think that support always has to be direct, that it has to come in the form of someone actively helping us. But sometimes the people who support us the most are the ones who believe in us quietly. They may not always say it, but we feel it. We see it in the way they treat us, in the way they show up for us, in the way they refuse to let us fail without a fight. And support isn't just about what people give us, it's also about what we accept. Too often, we push support away because we feel like we should be able to do things on our own. We convince ourselves that needing help is a sign of weakness, that accepting encouragement means we're not strong enough. But the truth is, the strongest people aren't the ones who go through life alone, they're the ones who know how to lean on others when they need to. No one accomplishes anything great by themselves. Every successful person has had support along the way, and yet so many of us resist it. We think we have to prove ourselves, that we have to struggle in silence, that we have to figure everything out on our own. But success isn't about proving you don't need help. It's about recognizing when you do and allowing yourself to receive it. And just as we need support, we also have a responsibility to give it. Every one of us has the ability to be that person for someone else, to challenge them, to encourage them, to stand by them, to push them when they want to give up, to remind them of what they're capable of. Because sometimes all it takes is one person's support to change the course of someone's life. But giving support isn't just about cheering people on, it's about understanding what they actually need. Some people need encouragement. They need to hear that they're capable, that they have what it takes, that they shouldn't give up. Others need challenge. They need someone to call them out when they're playing small, to demand more from them, to refuse to let them settle. And some just need someone to stand by them, to show up, to remind them that they're not alone. The best kind of support is the kind that meets people where they are and gives them what they need, even when it's not what they want. And sometimes support means stepping back and letting someone struggle. It means allowing them to face challenges on their own, to learn their own lessons, to figure things out without interference. It's not about rescuing, it's about empowering. Because the goal of support isn't to make things easy, it's to make people stronger. It's important to recognize the different forms of support in our own lives. Sometimes we overlook the people who are pushing us because we mistake their challenge for criticism. Sometimes we fail to see the quiet supporters because they aren't loud about their belief in us. And sometimes we reject the support we need because we're too focused on trying to do everything on our own. But if we take a step back, if we really look, we'll see that we're not as alone as we think. And when we recognize the support we've been given, we start to understand the importance of passing it on. Because just as someone's belief in us has shaped our journey, our belief in someone else could shape theirs. It could be the difference between them giving up and pushing forward, between them staying where they are and becoming who they were meant to be. Support isn't just about making life easier for someone. It's about helping them become who they're capable of becoming. It's about seeing their potential even when they don't. It's about standing by them, even when they doubt themselves. It's about reminding them in every way possible that they are not alone. If you can't find someone who believes in you, then be that person for someone else. It's easy to get caught up in waiting for someone to recognize our potential, to invest in us, to encourage us when we feel uncertain. We long for that mentor, that leader, that friend who will push us forward. But what if, instead of waiting, we decided to become that person for someone else? What if, instead of focusing on who's supporting us, we turned our attention to who we could support? Belief is powerful. It has the ability to change the course of a person's life. And the incredible thing is, it doesn't take much. A single word of encouragement, a small act of support, or even just the presence of someone who refuses to let another person give up, these things can create ripples far beyond what we can see. When we invest in someone else's success, we give them permission to believe in themselves. We show them what's possible. We become the proof that they are capable of more than they think. Most people go through life underestimating themselves. They let doubt dictate their choices. They play it safe because no one ever told them they were capable of more. But imagine what could happen if just one person stepped in and told them otherwise. If someone looked them in the eye and said, "You can do this. You have what it takes. I see something in you that you may not see in yourself." That moment of belief might be the thing that changes everything. Sometimes, being the person who believes in someone else means simply showing up. Not everyone needs grand gestures or motivational speeches. Some people just need to know that someone is in their corner, that someone sees them, that they matter. It's easy to assume that people already know their worth, but many don't. They go through life feeling invisible, unnoticed, and unsure of their place in the world. A single act of belief, an opportunity, a piece of advice, or even just consistent encouragement can shift their entire mindsets. And here's the thing. When we start believing in others, something interesting happens. We begin to change too. We start seeing potential everywhere, not just in others, but in ourselves. We start realizing that the ability to inspire, to lead, to impact someone's life isn't reserved for the extraordinary few. It's something we all have the power to do. Being the person who believes in others doesn't mean having all the answers. It doesn't require us to be perfect. It simply means showing up, offering support, and refusing to let someone settle for less than they are capable of. Sometimes it means pushing someone past their comfort zone, even when they resist. Other times it means reminding them of who they are when they've forgotten. And occasionally it means standing by them in silence, letting them know they are not alone. Think about the moments in your own life when you were struggling. Maybe you were filled with doubt, questioning your abilities, feeling like giving up. Now imagine what would have happened if someone had stepped in at that moment and told you with absolute certainty that you were capable of more. Imagine if someone had refused to let you walk away from your potential. Would it have changed the decisions you made, the risks you took, the confidence you felt? We often wait for permission to believe in ourselves. We look for validation from others before we take a leap, before we trust in our own abilities. But what if we stopped waiting? What if instead of searching for someone to believe in us, we focused on becoming that person for others? What if by investing in someone else, we found the confidence we were searching for all along? There is no shortage of people in the world who need someone to believe in them. They are everywhere. At work, in our families, in our communities, they are the people who have talent but lack confidence, who have dreams but lack support, who have potential but have never been told they are capable. And we have the ability to change that. Sometimes being the person who believes in someone else means giving them an opportunity they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. It means opening a door, offering a hand, or simply saying, "I trust you with this." Many people never step into their greatness because they were never given the chance. A single opportunity can make all the difference. And when we do this, when we invest in others without expecting anything in return, we create something bigger than ourselves. We start a cycle of belief. Because the people we support, the ones we encourage, they don't just keep it to themselves, they pass it on. They start believing in others too. And before we know it, we've created a culture of belief, a chain reaction of confidence, a ripple effect that extends far beyond what we can see. The truth is, no one makes it alone. We all need people who believe in us, who push us, who see in us what we don't yet see in ourselves. And sometimes the best way to find those people is to become that person first. To give what we wish we had, to invest in others the way we wish someone had invested in us. We may never fully know the impact we have on others. We may never see how our words, our actions, our belief in someone change their path, but that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Because belief isn't about recognition, it's about impact. And when we choose to be the person who believes in someone else, we give them something far more valuable than success. We give them the courage to become who they were meant to be. When we finally achieve the success we've worked so hard for, when we reach that goal, when we stand in the place we once only dreamed about, it's easy to believe that we did it alone. But the truth is, no one accomplishes anything entirely by themselves. Along the way, there were people who played a role in our journey, mentors who guided us, friends who supported us, leaders who gave us opportunities, even strangers whose encouragement came at just the right time. These people, whether we realize it or not, shaped us. And because of them, we are where we are today. But success isn't just about achieving something for ourselves. It's about what we do once we get there. It's about turning around, reaching back, and helping others rise. Too often, people reach a certain level of success and forget where they came from. They focus on their own achievements, their own progress, and their own goals. But real success, the kind that leaves a lasting impact, is not measured by what we achieve alone. It is measured by how many people we lift up along the way. Every one of us has been helped by someone. Even if we didn't see it at the time, maybe it was a teacher who pushed us when we wanted to quit. Maybe it was a boss who gave us a chance when no one else would. Maybe it was a friend who believed in us when we were full of doubt. These moments of support, no matter how small, made a difference. And now, we have the opportunity to do the same for someone else. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that helping others requires something extraordinary, that we need to be in a position of power, that we need to have vast resources, that we need to be someone special in order to make a difference. But the truth is, lifting others up doesn't require wealth or influence. It simply requires a decision to see potential in others, a decision to offer support, a decision to be the kind of person who helps people move forward rather than standing by as they struggle. There are people in the world right now who are waiting for someone to notice them, someone to believe in them, someone to give them an opportunity. And often it takes so little to make a difference. A single conversation, a small act of encouragement, a willingness to listen, a chance to prove themselves. These moments of belief might seem insignificant in the moment, but to the person receiving them, they can change everything. And when we lift others up, we don't just help them, we strengthen ourselves as well. Leadership isn't about power, it's about service. The best leaders, the most successful individuals, the ones who leave behind a legacy, are not the ones who focus only on their own journey. They are the ones who invest in others, who build people up, who make sure that their success isn't just theirs alone. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that success is a competition, that in order for one person to rise, another must fall. But the truth is, there is room for all of us. Success is not a limited resource. In fact, the more we help others, the more opportunities we create for everyone, including ourselves. A world where more people believe in themselves, where more people are given opportunities, where more people are supported, that is a world where true progress happens. Think about the people who have influenced your life. Think about the ones who helped you get to where you are now. Were they selfish with their knowledge? Did they hold back their support? Or were they generous with their time, their belief, their encouragement? Chances are the people who made the biggest impact on you were the ones who chose to invest in you, to guide you, to help you grow. And now it's your turn to do the same for someone else. Sometimes helping others rise means mentoring them, sharing what we've learned, giving them the tools they need to succeed. Sometimes it means advocating for them, using our influence, our voice, our position to open doors that would otherwise remain closed. Sometimes it's simply about encouragement, reminding them of their worth, their capability, their potential. And sometimes lifting others up means standing beside them in their struggles. Success isn't always about pushing forward. Sometimes it's about standing still long enough to pull someone else up with us. It's about recognizing that we are all connected, that our journeys are intertwined, that the strength of one person often depends on the support of another. There will always be people who think that helping others is a distraction from their own success, that it slows them down, that it's not worth the effort. But the truth is, when we lift others up, we create a world that is better for all of us. We create stronger teams, stronger communities, stronger businesses, stronger families. We create a ripple effect of belief and encouragement that extends far beyond what we can see. And here's the most powerful part: when we help others rise, we inspire them to do the same. The people we support today will go on to support others tomorrow. The belief we give someone now will be passed on to someone else in the future. And before we know it, we've created a chain of impact that stretches further than we ever could have imagined. Success isn't just about what we achieve for ourselves, it's about what we do with it. It's about making sure that when we reach a place of strength, we use it to pull someone else up, because in the end, the greatest measure of our success is not what we accomplish alone, it's how many people we help along the way. The impact of one person's belief, one person's encouragement, one person's support is immeasurable. It is easy to overlook the power of a single moment, a single conversation, a single opportunity extended to someone else. But the truth is, most of the greatest achievements in the world, most of the breakthroughs, most of the success stories, started not with a grand gesture, but with a simple act of belief from one person toward another. Every one of us has had moments when we doubted ourselves, when we wondered if we were good enough, strong enough, capable enough. And in those moments, it wasn't always our own strength that carried us through. It was the belief of someone else. It was the mentor who reminded us of our potential. It was the friend who refused to let us quit. It was the leader who saw something in us that we couldn't yet see in ourselves. But what happens when we don't have that person? What happens when we feel like we are walking alone, that no one sees us, that no one is there to push us forward? That is the moment when we have a choice. We can allow ourselves to believe that we are alone, or we can choose to be the person for someone else that we wish we had for ourselves. The most powerful thing about belief is that it is not something we have to wait for. It is something we can create. We can choose to believe in others even before they believe in themselves. We can choose to extend opportunities even when we don't know if they're ready. We can choose to speak words of encouragement even when we're not sure they will be received. And when we do this, something incredible happens. The very act of believing in others strengthens our own belief in ourselves. When we see the impact of our encouragement, when we witness the transformation that happens when someone realizes their worth, we begin to recognize the power we hold, not just in shaping our own lives, but in shaping the lives of others. There is no limit to what people can achieve when they feel supported. There is no telling how far someone can go when they have even one person who refuses to let them give up. Sometimes all it takes is a single spark to ignite a fire, a single word to change a perspective, a single act of kindness to shift the trajectory of someone's life. But too often we hesitate. We assume that our words won't make a difference, that someone else will step in, that our role in someone else's journey is too small to matter. And so we hold back. We stay quiet. We fail to give the encouragement, the opportunity, the belief that could have made all the difference. What would happen if we stopped hesitating? What would happen if instead of waiting for the perfect moment, we simply stepped in and spoke up? If we saw someone struggling and offered our help, if we noticed someone doubting themselves and reminded them of their strength, if we looked at someone's potential and made sure they knew we saw it too, when we begin to live this way, something shifts. We stop seeing success as something we must fight for alone. We stop viewing others as competition. We stop believing in the idea that we must prove ourselves without support. Instead, we begin to understand that true success is not measured by what we accomplish for ourselves, but by how many people we lift along the way. And the more we lift others, the more we create a culture of belief. The more we build an environment where people are not just surviving, but thriving, where people feel empowered to take risks, where people step into their potential not because they were forced to, but because someone believed they could. This is how change happens. This is how people grow. This is how lives are transformed, not through extraordinary acts of heroism, but through everyday moments of belief, through small, consistent acts of support, through one person choosing to make a difference, even if they never see the full impact of their actions. And when we look back at our own journeys, at the struggles we faced, at the moments when we almost gave up, we will realize something important, that we never truly walked alone, that even in the times when we felt unseen, someone was watching, that even in the moments when we doubted ourselves, someone still believed in us. And now it's our turn to be the one who sees, our turn to be the one who believes, our turn to be the one who steps in when someone else is on the verge of giving up. Because when we do, we create a ripple effect of belief that extends far beyond what we can see. And maybe, just maybe, that one small act of belief will be the thing that changes everything for someone else.